You're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, 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 other than day one.
Donald Trump has successfully moved the Overton window in a way that is as dangerous for the future of democracy in this country as anything else.
This is what Vout and Project 2025 wanted.
Newsom is he's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it? I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great.
They control the Congress, they control the White House, and they control the courts. And so, of course, they're massively overreaching. And yes, they are getting away with it right now.
This is clearly a man who cannot tolerate criticism of him or what he does, which is exactly what authoritarianism is all about.
The New York Times is just as fake as CNN and MSDNC. They really are the enemy of the people.
What he is saying, rather bluntly, if you stand up to Donald Trump, he will punish you.
Protesters in Philadelphia, state capitals in California, Minnesota, Michigan, Texas, Wisconsin, Indiana, and others showed up to oppose Trump, Musk, and Project 2025.
US and President Trump has overseen America's largest military parade in decades as nationwide protests take place against his leadership.
Demonstrations are happening right across the United States today to oppose the Trump administration.
Two visions of America. On a day the country's deepening divide was there for all the world to see.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jeff Waldorf. Welcome to Logically Left, where, yes, I talk about the issues from a left-leaning perspective. I know, crazy. In these days, it is kind of crazy when you think about it. I mean, look who's in charge. We have idiots and fascists running the country, and yes, there's a lot of overlap between the two. But welcome to the show. I've got some very important stories, a little bit of fun, but also a lot of disaster. So we've got a MAGA senator who apparently didn't know who was president during 2008. Yeah. We've got the Oklahoma superintendent busted, watching some things that he shouldn't. Interesting. We've got ICE busted, lying about the LA protests. We've got cases being, pursued by the Justice Department that have completely fallen apart. Yes, I just said fall apart. I don't know why. It's Monday, everybody. It's Monday, and words are hard. So that's what we have. And of course, we have a whole lot of just terrible and ridiculous news, as usual, from the weekend. For example, we have a Republican candidate in California running for governor saying, you know what? You know how we can solve homelessness? By building Auschwitz. I kid you not. So this is the ridiculousness that we are dealing with today. And it's just another day in Trump's America. So, with that said, please like and share the stream. Hit the like button, hit the share button. Very important that you do so. Consider becoming a supporter, a member, a patron, all that different stuff that you can do. For example, you can be like Gemini SG over on our YouTube page, who just rejoined as a channel member. With that said, let's dive into the stories. Let's start out with Senator Mark Wayne Mullin. Oh boy, it's always a fun time when we're talking about this moron. Gotta love it. All right. It's almost like there's a competition among Republicans. Who can say the dumbest things and get away with it? Yeah. Okay. Senator Mark Wayne Mullin is not very smart. Not a very intelligent person. Apparently has a very difficult time telling time. At least that lack of ability was on display during a interview with Jake Tapper, where Mullin had attempted to tie the sweetheart deal that was made to Jeffrey Epstein to former President Barack Obama.
But remember, there was a plea deal that was struck in 2009, way before I was in office, way before Trump was even considering to be in office, way before Pam Bondi was in office, way before Kash Patel was director. 2009, there was a sweetheart plea deal that was made underneath the Obama administration with Epstein.
Right. That's not
and
right.
that sweetheart has not been exposed.
No, it was 2000.
Oh, it's not? Well, when was the case heard?
It was 2008. It was the U.S. attorney at the time was a guy named Alex Acosta. He was a Bush appointee. He went on to become President Trump's Secretary of Labor. It all took place in 2008.
Who was in office at the time?
2008, George W. Bush.
Who was in office at the time?
George W. Bush.
No, 2009 is when the case came out, and it was and Obama was in office at the time.
It's not true.
Wow. Wow. Oops. Look at
Whoopsie.
that. Exactly. Look, Obama, he was elected in 2008, but he didn't take office until his inauguration on January 20th, 2009. That's what happened. That's well after the sweetheart deal had been finalized, and like even had it happen under Obama, it's not like Obama personally would have ordered it. No, that's not what happened. but again, they're incredibly like just desperate to blame someone else, and who better than Obama? Exactly. Look, the reality is the person who did this, I know Republicans are, we're trying to find the guy who did this. Well, that was Alexander Acosta, according to a 350-page report from the Department of Justice's Office of Professional Responsibility, something we no longer have. Okay. I mean, I'm sure the department is still there, but there ain't no professional responsibility in this administration. Now, according to records that were made public in 2020, Acosta, then the U.S. attorney in Miami, was shown to have exhibited poor judgment. Oh, no kidding. In deciding to resolve the Epstein case through a non-prosecution agreement, and in failing to make certain the alleged victims were notified in advance of Epstein's guilty plea in state court that had ended the federal investigation. Now, Brad Edwards, who sued the Department of Justice in 2008 on behalf of Epstein's accusers, said, quote, "They just say that he used poor judgment. And that's their way of basically letting everyone off the hook while offering some sort of an olive branch to the victims that we acknowledge weren't treated perfectly. But nobody really did anything wrong. It's really offensive. It's hurtful. Yes, of course. Look, I remember talking about the sweetheart deal back in 2019 after Alex Acosta was forced to step down in July of that year because of the sweetheart deal. Okay, this was, by the way, a move that President Trump was not very happy with. He didn't want Alexander Acosta to step down, apparently. I mean, he said, quote, "I thought he did a fantastic job. He made a deal people were happy with. Now they're not. In so many ways, I hate what he's saying now, because we're going to miss him. We're going to miss him. Alexander Acosta, he made a deal, an Epstein deal that people were happy with, but now they're not happy with him." Nobody was happy with that deal. Okay. Nobody except for Jeffrey Epstein and Alexander Acosta. Okay. That said, of course, privately, according to a senior White House official at the time, Trump had been stewing over Acosta's fate, as he and aides had worried about the steady stream of revelations about what? About the Epstein case. According to this official, quote, "There would just continue to be disclosures. There would be questions in this town and on the trail." And questions there were. And now those very questions are back. And they're really, really upsetting the president. I mean, because now his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein is being questioned by even some of his own supporters. I would say not enough of them, but there are some supporters that are like, wait a minute, hold on here. You said you're going to release all the files on Epstein. In fact, Pam Bondi said she had the list on her desk, all those files, and now she's saying, oh, not only were they not on my desk, but they never actually existed. Like, they're being jerked around, okay? And hey, look, some of the MAGA guys, they love that. They're totally fine with being jerked around, you know what I'm saying, by Trump. But like, some of them have questions. Some of them have questions, and there are no good answers here. And so he's having a real hard time putting this whole thing to bed with some of them. And of course, that's why they're trying to blame Obama. They're doing weapons of mass distraction. Okay. Once again, involving Obama. You got Tulsi Gabbard out there saying, it's Obama. We got Obama. Okay. Yes, they were spying on the Trump campaign. That Russia hoax. That's what it is. Yep, that's what we're doing now. Everybody pay attention to this. And not pay attention to what? Them trying to desperately make this Epstein stuff go away. As even after the Wall Street Journal, it's not exactly a liberal bastion of journalism here, releasing information about like, oh yeah, by the way, we got a birthday card here from Donald Trump in the shape of a naked woman. We got that whole thing, and of course Trump's like, fake news. It's fake news. Everything's fake. I don't even draw pictures. And then of course we find out that Trump actually did draw quite a few pictures. Normally it's cityscapes, but in this case it's ladyscapes. Okay. Again, look, everything with these people comes down to trying to blame Obama, Biden, the radical left, the fake news, whatever they can think of. They're throwing everything at the wall here and hoping something sticks, all to try to stop people from asking questions, legitimate questions about about Donald Trump's ties to a convicted pedophile. Yeah. They can't even distract with anything credible, release the files. Credible? I cannot talk today. He does not write pictures. Get it correct. No, he does not write any pictures. That's right. He doesn't write pictures. That's it. That's true. Yeah. Oh, I am now fake news. Okay. All right. Let's move on here. We got Nancy Mace and her Pastime. Oh, lovely. Lovely indeed. Representative Nancy Mace has revealed one of her favorite pastimes. South Carolina representative apparently enjoys watching state-sanctioned violence against migrants when she, feels like she needs to relax and unwind. That's not me saying it. That's her saying it.
New sheriff in town, I have to tell you, one of my favorite things to watch on YouTube these days are the court hearings where illegals are in court and ICE shows up to drag them out of court and deport them. I can think of nothing more American today than keeping our streets safer by getting those violent criminals out of the United States of America, and we all have Donald J. Trump to thank for it.
And there you go. And of course, they had to have that B-roll, right? But Nancy Mace is a person who loves taking selfies in front of gender-neutral bathrooms and also enjoys watching people who are in court getting assaulted by masked ICE officials who then will send them to, I don't know, foreign or sometimes domestic concentration camps, like Alligator Alcatraz. It's one of her favorite things, she says. Oh, I love it. Oh, it's so great. It's so great. No, yes, when I need to unwind, there's nothing better than watching ICE drag people out of court. Why are they in court in the first place? Maybe because they're trying to stay legal. Again, Nancy Mace, she's a disgusting person. We already knew that. Of course. So let's get to the facts, right? Obviously, this entire thing with ICE is not about stopping criminals. No. Out of the estimated 100,000 people who have been deported between January 1st and June 24th by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, about 70,000 of them were convicted criminals. But wait a minute. Didn't I just say this wasn't about stopping criminals? Well, here lies the rub, okay? The vast majority of these crimes are misdemeanors, like a traffic ticket, a parking ticket. That's what that's about. The vast majority of these crimes are not violent crimes. In fact, the data shows that most of the documented infractions were traffic or immigration-related offenses. The violent offenses make up a very small portion, only 1.8%, or 2,355 of the total convictions against those criminals had to do with sex offenses. Okay, so we're not getting rid of the rapists. Another 1,628, or just 1.2%, were for sexual assault. The number of homicide convictions totaled just 729, or 0.58%. And the number of those convicted who were kidnappers were 536, or 0.42%. And about 10,738 were for assault, or 8.5%. So, yeah, basically, the vast majority of ICE arrests are not going after the worst of the worst. No, they're getting everyone that they can. Anyone and everyone. You get a parking ticket, ICE is going to come after you, and you're going to get deported probably to a concentration camp. That's really it. That's and here's the thing, right? In that same interview, she's talking about how, we got to go after the sanctuary cities. The sanctuary cities are so unsafe. No, what sanctuary cities are about is trying to prevent stuff like this from happening. Okay? It's about not deporting people over a parking ticket. Because it's a waste. It is a waste of time. It is a waste of money. It's actually more expensive to do this, to do what this administration is doing, than to let it go. Again, you're arresting and deporting people over freaking parking tickets. It's ridiculous. Look, undocumented immigrants, yes, they are here in the country illegally. Oh my God, that's a civil infraction. It's a misdemeanor at most. Okay? They work, they pay taxes, and guess what? They get nothing in return for paying taxes. They can't get welfare. No, they're not allowed to get welfare. And oftentimes they're exploited by their employers while being scapegoated by Republicans. That's the reality of the situation. But now it's even worse, because that's what it was like before. Now we got Trump and his Gestapo goons rounding these people up and sending them to camps where they are beaten and tortured, and sick people like Nancy Mace are sitting there going, oh, great, I love it. Yes, it's my favorite thing to watch. You know, on the one hand, it is refreshing to see that these people who pretended to be moderate Republicans finally go mask off. Although she has been for some time, right? I remember the day when she was like, I am a moderate, pro-LGBTQ plus Republican. Yes, that's right. And she was only that until it was no longer popular to be that in the party. It was no longer popular to be a moderate, to be pro-LGBTQ+. Now she's literally out there celebrating Nazi shit. Because that's what's popular in the Republican Party. All of this is about Nancy Mace saying, ooh, what's the best way to get attention? What's the best way to get power? What's the best way to get elected? I know, be a Nazi. Great. All of this is so that she can elevate herself. Why? So she can run for governor of South Carolina and win. This is what she apparently feels like she has to do. And I don't know if she really feels this way, but just going and acting this way and adopting these positions makes her an even more terrible person. Even if she doesn't share these sentiments, even if she's not, she'd go home and be like, boy, do I feel gross. I need a shower after saying that stuff. Doesn't matter. Makes her even grosser of a person because she's lying about this. She's lying about how she really feels. Okay? So, but no, she's going to run for governor of South Carolina. In fact, when she was asked for confirmation of her plans, because this has been reported before, Mace said that she will be making a decision over the next couple of days about my future. I believe I may be forced to run for governor. Forced to run for governor. I mean, come on. Just listen to that. Oh, they're forcing me to run. Oh, because I can't watch my beautiful red state of South Carolina go woke, she said. Yo, that's it. The wokers. That they're forcing me to do it. They're forcing me to do it because of the woke. The woke. Oh my God. Look, I hope Nancy, and I know it's South Carolina. I know it. Doesn't matter. I hope she gets crushed. I hope the Republican base can see right through her bullshit and see that she is doing nothing but pander to the worst kinds of people, Nazis, for power. Terrible people. And the endless parade of terrible people in the Republican Party continues. Also, in response to the comments here,
Nancy Pelosi's gazpacho police.
You called for it, and I delivered. There you go. Also,
Peach tree dish.
Perfect. All right, moving on. Oh boy. That is a fun one. In a not so shocking development, Oklahoma Superintendent Ryan Walters has been caught for playing pornographic material in his work office. That's right. This allegedly happened during a Oklahoma State Board of Education executive session last Thursday. Really? Really?
Whoopsie.
Yeah. Board members during this meeting were apparently subjected to naked women who appeared on a TV screen behind Walters in his office, according to the Oklahoman. Seriously, look, why can't this guy wait to look at that stuff from home? Okay, was it that necessary?
I like my meat tight. Tighten up my meat.
Jesus. Look, I got no problem with people watching that, obviously, but dude, you are at work. You're in the middle of a meeting. You're not supposed to be going to work while at work, if you catch my meaning.
Tighten up my meat.
Settling scene. That demands clarity and transparency. Yes, the 1960s. Maybe. Definitely into vintage or something. Fellow board member Ryan Dethridge, who also attended the meeting, said the TV was on throughout the session, but the volume was turned down. Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Quite frankly, he said, I didn't know how to handle it. I was just in shock. I was being human and I didn't know quite what to think. I kept thinking that it was just going to go away. So I quit watching it. Ah, yes, he didn't know how to handle it. Of course. Look, I don't quite buy that. I do think that there was a good chance that, yes, he was watching. I mean, human curiosity, or it's maybe that thing where, you want to look, but you keep having to force yourself not to because it's not the time or the place. I mean, let's be honest. I don't know. I don't know. That said, Deathridge is like, yeah, Walter should be held to account for this, okay? Making me look at that stuff during a work meeting, kind of uncomfortable. Quote, we hold educators to the strictest standards when it comes to explicit material. The standard for the superintendent should be no different. I agree. Now, here's the irony about all this. Walters has famously railed against pornography in the schools. There's pornography in the schools. Really? I mean, other than what you brought in there, allegedly, there wasn't really pornography in the schools. So what does he mean by that? It's LGBTQ books. Okay? Books with LGBTQ themes. That's what he considers pornography. Ah, right. Okay. Look, last year, Walters advocated for banning books. For example, the novel The Kite Runner. Oh, it's got sexual content in it. It's pornography. He also threatened to lower the accreditation of any school or district if it didn't remove such books from their library shelves. Now, of course, Edmond Public Schools ended up suing Walters over this, and guess what? They won. That's right. They won. Now, here's the thing, okay? If you equate gay and trans people literally just existing and doing normal things to pornography, odds are you've probably consumed a lot of aforementioned pornography. I'm just saying, of that particular type, by the way, gay and trans porn. Because there's nothing wrong with watching that. There's nothing wrong with being in that. But, don't take your barely disguised fetish, okay, and then try to harm those very same people, okay, by claiming that them just living their lives and doing normal human things in the privacy and comfort of their own home, or just existing out in the street, don't confuse that for your barely disguised fetish. I'm just saying. Now, Walters said in a statement about that, quote, Edmond Public Schools not only allows kids access to access porn in schools, which is not true, they are doubling down to keep pornography on the bookshelves. Again, that is not what the Oklahoma Supreme Court said when it ruled in favor of the school district last June. They said that Walters was vastly overstepping his authority as superintendent. Now, that said, of course, Walters is raging over this story. His spokesperson told the Oklahoman, quote, any number of people have access to these offices. You have a hostile board who will say and do anything except tell the truth. And now, the Oklahoman is reporting on an alleged random TV cable image. How do you know it's cable? And by the way, the Oklahoman, y'all think you really had something there, didn't you? Oh, we're clever. We're going to call them the Oklahoman. The Wokers. Okay, buddy. I love the unsupported implication that he was set up by somebody on the board. Oh, yep, nope. They were setting me up by showing 1960s pornography on the TV right behind me. Okay. Sure. come on now. It's for them, it's always someone else's fault. Oh, it's the board members, it's the radical left, it's the pornography, it's the LGBTQ, it's all those people. Really? Really? Look, obviously, Ryan Walters loves to take after Donald Trump. Okay? I mean, look, blaming everybody, blaming the woke left, all that stuff, and all that. That's what he does. That's what Donald Trump does. That's what Ryan Walters is doing. Okay? And not only that, but look, Ryan Walters ordered all these Trump Bibles for the state to shove into classrooms. I mean, if that doesn't scream like I am totally and completely swearing fealty to the orange dictator, I don't know what is. So, of course, he's out there blaming the radical left and the woke for putting porn on his office, TV, or computer, whatever. Pretty weak excuse, okay? That said, I guess we're going to have to see if this investigation happens, what they end up coming out with. Should be fun, should be interesting. Just absolutely amazing stuff. Woosdale 1967 writes in the comment section, he was just researching. It was his research, guy. I had to do the research. See? Yeah, that was it. That's the plan. Got to do the research. Okay. Just to show you that I know what porn is, and that is not it. That is not it. Because porn is just when LGBTQ people live their lives. VMan29397 says the buck stops anybody or anywhere but here. Sorry. I can't. Reading is hard too, apparently, today. It's a Monday. You don't like my music says, why should kids have to read the Bible? They haven't. Yeah, they absolutely shouldn't have to, especially in school. If you want to do that in a church, that's one thing. But and you know what? I actually encourage people to read the Bible because you know what? Nothing makes an atheist faster, okay, than having to read the Bible. Just saying. And you realize that there's a lot of people out there that claim to be religious that have never read that source material. Yeah, that's right. He was doing himself. His own research.
Sexual anarchy.
That's it. Oh, okay. Fun times. Let's move on. Very serious stuff now. Oh boy. Oh, before that, Pendulous Dragon with a very kind $5 super chat writes, watching porn at a school board meeting, not a trans. Exactly. Exactly. That's a great point. It's never, you notice with all these, sex crimes and things like that, it's never a trans person. It's never a member of the LGBTQ community that's actually doing this stuff. It is always the straight, white, Christian men. I'm just saying. It's usually what happens. Okay. And Woozle 1967 says, I'm a former army chaplain, and 100% of people don't read it, but pretend they did. Nailed it. Okay. Anyway. Immigration officials have been caught lying in reports about the protests that happen in California. In fact, they were lying about the protesters that they had arrested during the June protests, which of course led to the National Guard being sent into the state, to which they basically did a whole lot of nothing. They kind of sat around playing video games, all that, because they're not allowed to do arrests in the state domestically. Now, This is according to federal law enforcement files obtained by The Guardian. Testimony by officers that was cited in at least 5 different cases filed by the Department of Justice amid the unrest happened to be false and misleading. Oh, no kidding. So ICE lied. Their agents lied. Shocker. Shocker. Now, the Justice Department has charged at least 26 people with assaulting or impeding federal officers and other crimes during the protests over the immigration raids that happened in California. However, prosecutors have so far been forced to dismiss at least 8 of those felonies. Many of them relied on officers' inaccurate reports, according to court records. The Justice Department has also dismissed at least 3 felony assault cases it brought against Angelenos accused of interfering with arrests during recent immigration raids, documents show. To which I say, whoopsie. Not surprising. Not surprising at all. The rapid felony dismissals are a major embarrassment to the Trump-appointed U.S. Attorney for Southern California, Bill Asaley, and appeared to be the result of an unusual series of missteps by the Justice Department, according to former federal prosecutors. Yeah. Now, I would say that there are less missteps and more attempts to stop people from exercising their First Amendment rights, to protest. That's what this is. That's what's going on here. Okay, according to the Guardian's review of the records, out of 9 assault and impeding and felony cases the Justice Department filed immediately after the start of the protests and promoted by Attorney General Pam Bondi, prosecutors were forced to dismiss 7 of them right after filing their charges. So they go and file charges, and then immediately like, oops, gotta pull back on the charges. Dismissed. Oops. Wow. Shocker. In reports that led to the detention and prosecution of at least 5 demonstrators, Department of Homeland Security agents made false statements about the sequence of events and misrepresented incidents that were captured on video. That's right. People had video. There was plenty of video of what happened. ICE agents were like, no, they came up, they pushed me. I was pushed. I was shoved. I was assaulted. And it turns out that the camera footage that was captured actually showed the opposite, where you had these ICE agents that were shoving protesters. And not only that, but you had one indictment that had named the wrong defendant. The wrong person. Oh, I meant it was this person, but it was actually that person. Oopsie. Whoopsie. Oh, no. Oh, embarrassing. Now, but it would be if they were out there for a legitimate reason. They are not. This is not about law and order. This is not about, we got to stop the assaults on police. No, this is about scaring people. This is about crushing dissent. This is about establishing a narrative. What narrative, you ask? They have this idea, and it's spread all over Fox News and conservative media. They have this narrative that LA, for example, is a lawless hellhole. It is a third world country in our country that is, there's gangs and criminals and there's homeless and there's all sorts of people everywhere that are causing all sorts of problems and they're violent and so horrible. We need to go and crack their skulls. That's why we need to send in the troops. And in order to do that, they got to manufacture this narrative. Turns out the lawless ones are actually ICE. That's it. Yep, it's actually law enforcement. Christine Soto de Berry, a former California state prosecutor who is now the director of Prosecutors Alliance Action, a criminal justice reform group, spoke to The Guardian. Here's what she said about the situation. Quote, When I see felonies dismissed, that tells me either federal officers have filed affidavits that are not truthful, i.e. they're lies, and that has been uncovered, meaning that they were caught lying in their lies, or U.S. attorneys reviewing the cases realize that the evidence does not support the charges. So now the attorneys are like, oh crap, so you guys lied about it, and that would be fine normally, but now there's evidence that is clearly showing that you are lying, and that the situation is actually reversed, that you were the ones that were doing violence on the protesters, not the other way around. She said that officers often call for charges that prosecutors do not end up filing. Of course, they always go above and beyond. But said it was uncommon for the Justice Department to file and then dismiss cases, especially numerous felonies, in rapid succession. Quote, it seems this is a way to detain people, hold them in custody, instill fear, and discourage people from exercising their First Amendment rights, said DeBerry. Bingo! She is 100% on the money about that. Yes, that is exactly what they're trying to do. It is all about trying to crush dissent. It is all about trying to instill fear. Instill fear in who? Immigrants, mainly, but also people, good Americans, who are against what is happening here. Throwing them in jail, charging them with BS crimes. This is what an authoritarian government looks like. This is what they're doing. And look, even with this, these prosecutors for the Trump government, the regime, are not stopping with their BS prosecutions. In fact, in 6 of the felony dismissals reviewed by The Guardian, the DOJ has refiled lower-level misdemeanors against the defendants. Probably to save face. Oh, yeah, but, well, okay, so they weren't actually attacking or impeding officers, but resisting arrest. They were resisting arrest. That's what it was. Oh, yes, we got to get them. Can't have it. Can't have them resisting arrest like that, even after we assaulted them, even after we're shoving them and coming after them and denying them their civil rights. That's right. Resisting arrest. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Look, the people who were arrested, their lives have been deeply affected by what this lawless administration regime is doing. All the demonstrators who won dismissals ended up spending time in jail. That's jail time. Before the cases, the government's cases against them had fallen completely apart. That is time that they will never, ever get back in conditions that are likely not very good, usually pretty bad. One of the people, Jose Mojica, whose assault case was dismissed, said, quote, and this is earlier in a Guardian interview, quote, we are not the violent ones. And that's true. Furthermore, Mojica said that they are chasing down innocent people. Again, this is what an authoritarian regime does. And it's the point, though. It's never about going after the criminals. It was never about protecting law enforcement, never about law and order. This is about fear. It is about instilling it. Protests, if you protest against injustice, the government is telling you that we are going to come after you. Because we're what? We don't care about injustice. No, we want to do injustice. We want to perpetuate injustice. In fact, that's our entire point. Our entire political movement is about doing injustice to people, to certain people that we don't like. That's it. That's the reality. That's the reality. And by the way, what happened? Whatever happened to all those people who, were free speech defenders, okay? Whatever happened to those people that claimed that the deep state was out there. They're trying to crush our First Amendment rights. They're trying to stop political dissent. Where are those people? Oh, those are the people cheering this on. You know, cheering on the destruction of people's First Amendment rights. They love crushing political dissent. Only when it comes from the other side. Ah, of course. Everything that they said was projection. That's right. Everything that they claimed was projection. Take Assaili, the U.S. Attorney for L.A. Okay, the L.A. Times reported last week that he was heard screaming and hollering at a prosecutor over a grand jury's refusal to indict one of the protesters. Yes, that's right. They saw the evidence, this grand jury, and was like, are you kidding me? What are you doing? No, we're not going to indict this. And remember, this is coming from a government that can indict a ham sandwich. And even this grand jury was like, no. Now, there is clear evidence showing that you are full of shit. You are absolutely lying about these protesters, and you are trying to take away their rights. We are not going to be a party of this. And you know what? Great. But his response was, oh, how dare you? How dare they not do that? How dare you refuse to indict? That prosecution was based on the false testimony of ICE agents and was disproven by actual, evidence, the thing that you're supposed to have. Supposed to show evidence. One of the people, by the way, arrested here was Christian Serna Camacho, who, according to DHS, was verbally harassing agents and making threatening remarks. Oh, did you know he punched a Border Patrol officer? Oh, there you go. But wait, video did not show that. Video from the protest actually showed Serna Camacho and an officer, they had a bit of a scuffle. Yes, in a very chaotic crowd. Serna Camacho at one point raised his hand, which could be, of course, to defend himself, but it's unclear from the video if he even made contact with the officer. Serna Camacho was arrested 4 days after that protest when two unmarked vehicles rammed his car while he had the kids in it. He had a toddler and an infant in the car. Officers then threw tear gas after ramming his car. I mean, that's what passes for law enforcement in this country. And they could have easily injured or killed those children in that car crash. I mean, that's horrific and disgusting. This is the reality of what ICE and law enforcement in this country is doing. And it's just one example of what they're doing against innocent people or people who are actually assaulted by law enforcement just for going out there and practicing their First Amendment rights. Their rights have been violated by these Keystone cops. Okay? But understand, this is what the right wing said that they were going to do. This is what Trump said they were going to do. And so I'm not at all surprised to see that they're out there doing it. When Trump says he's going to do good things, don't believe him. But when he says he's going to do the worst things, then you should absolutely believe him. All right. Boy. One more here. And it gets worse. It gets worse. Always. A Republican gubernatorial candidate in California is calling Auschwitz, the infamous concentration and death camp, a quote-unquote solution for homelessness. Perhaps the final one, right? Kyle Langford, who is currently the leading Republican candidate in California, which, by the way, in California, it's not very likely that he is going to win, but nonetheless, this is who the leading Republican is. He published a photo of himself at the entrance of Auschwitz, saying this: "My 0% unemployment plan." And there it is. I mean, the masks are off. The hoods are off. Hell, he's pretty much putting on the red armband.
The Republican Party's racist.
What else can you get from that? Are we supposed to believe the far right in this country are not Nazis? When they're talking like Nazis, they're posting like Nazis? I mean, why not call them out for what they are? I know, because, but that's mean. They don't like that. No, they don't like that. So, sad day for you. I'm going to call you what you are. You act like a Nazi, you talk like a Nazi, you're a Nazi. I'm going to call you a Nazi. Period. Now, Langford, by the way, when he was called out by the Auschwitz Memorial Museum, people who know what they're talking about, okay, they criticized him, and he's like, I'm going to double down. Here's what they said, quote, "The instrumentalization of the tragedy of all those imprisoned and murdered in the German Nazi concentration and extermination camp, Auschwitz, for political messaging is a profound moral failure. Auschwitz is not a prop, Kyle Langford. Your post is an affront to the dignity of the victims and a disturbing display of insensitivity and disregard for the horrifying human history." In response to that, of course, Langford posted this, quote, "My German ancestors smile upon me," and then thanked the organization for the shout out. Wow. In a separate post, he then said, "I wasn't joking. I think it is exactly what is needed to stabilize California and keep people safe." Keep people safe. Which people? I mean, look, he not only called this a solution, but called this a, quote, Auschwitz, a beautiful work camp. That was it's not a work camp. It was a death camp. Look, this is not just somebody being provocative. They actually believe this stuff. This is not being edgy for shock value. Okay? This goes way beyond that. This man is talking like a Nazi. And he wants you to know, I'm proud of it. Well, yes, I want you to hear it because I'm proud of it. And of course, his comments came just days after President Donald Trump signed an executive order allowing the forcible institutionalization of unhoused people whom he called mentally ill. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So how long until they start sending people to work camps? I mean, it's not like RFK Jr. didn't already float that idea. He did. And how long before those work camps for the mentally ill, for criminals, get turned into death camps? That's how this goes. That's how this goes. They didn't start with the ovens. No, it started with putting the so-called undesirables into camps like this, or into alligator Alcatraz, okay? Again, the unhoused, the mentally ill, again, you already have people who are allegedly criminals, which, again, most of them are not, getting sent to alligator Alcatraz. People, again, in these camps that have been denied basic human dignity and rights. Again, the detainees have been barred from meeting their attorneys. They're being held many of them, without any charges. And not only that, but federal immigration court has canceled bond hearings, so they can't bond out. So they're stuck there. 72% of them have no criminal history. That's right. They're being held in terrible conditions, cages filled with mosquitoes, where you have fluorescent lights shining on you so you can't sleep 24/7. Unsanitary conditions. Barely any food. And that's not saying that it's even edible, right? I don't know if it's edible, but I've heard it's not. No medical care for people with their conditions. They're even allegedly beaten by guards. I mean, this is a camp. This is a concentration camp. We already have the beginnings of the death camps. This is how it starts. And now we have Republican politicians openly agreeing with the Nazis and spouting Nazi rhetoric. If you're trying to convince me that these Republicans are not Nazis, I mean, you're going to have a real hard time trying to convince anybody outside your little cult that they're not Nazis. Because they absolutely, without question, are. Even the Nazis didn't threaten their prisoners with alligators. Oh, yeah, not like what's-her-face did. I forget it was Bondi or whomever. Oh, my God. And there we are. There we are. Super chat from VMan29397 says revolution is the sacred right of the nation to overthrow domestic tyrannies or to reject foreign interventions. It's a quote from Don Pedro Albizu Campos. Gabbard. Was it Gabbard that said that? I thought it was somebody else, but oh my God. All right. Well, anyway, that's the show today. A lot of ridiculously terrible stuff, as usual. So, I mean, we're coming back into the new week with some real disgusting bangers of stories. It's just horrible. All right. Thank you for watching the show. Please like and share if you haven't already. Become a member, patron. Hit the join button below if you're on YouTube to support independent progressive media. I don't paywall anything because I think that stories that I cover are things that people need to know. Very important information here about what's going on. And so, no, I don't paywall anything, but if you can, please support independent progressive media, like Pendulous Dragon here, who just sent in a very kind $2 super chat. Trolls piss me off, Mr. Fox. Well, there you go. Yeah, not a fan of trolling either. Oh, Christy Gnome, yes, thank you. All these different monsters tend to blend into each other. And so, thank you for that. And the correction here, Christine Ohm. Ugh. Terrible. All right. Anyway, you can sign up, become a patron, patreon.com/jeffwaldorf. Hit the join button below. Or if you're on Facebook, you can sign up to be a subscriber and support the show, as well as on Twitch. You can also help us out. So there's plenty of different ways that you can support independent progressive media. So please do so if you think that there's any value in what I'm doing, and if you're capable of doing so. If you can't, that's totally fine. Again, I'm not going to try to paywall you or keep you from watching the content. So that said, once again, thank you all. Love you, and remember, change begins with you. Also, for the chat, Obama. There you go. Love you all. We'll see you back here tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern. Pendulous Dragon with the very kind $2 says, good show today. Well, thank you very much. I do really appreciate that, and I do appreciate your support as well. All right. Love you all. We'll see you tomorrow.